The Turkish State Railways started building high-speed rail lines in 2003. The first section of the line, between Ankara and Eskişehir, was inaugurated on March 13, 2009. It is a part of the 533 km Istanbul to Ankara high-speed rail line. A subsidiary of Turkish State Railways, Yüksek Hızlı Tren is the sole commercial operator of high-speed trains in Turkey. The construction of three separate high-speed lines from Ankara to Istanbul, Konya and Sivas, as well as taking an Ankara-Izmir line to the launch stage, form part of the Turkish Ministry of Transport's strategic aims and targets. Turkey plans to construct a network of high-speed lines in the early part of the 21st century, targeting a 1,500 km network of high-speed lines by 2013 and a 10,000 km network by the year 2023. The Marmara project, which consists of a rail transport network around Istanbul and the world's deepest immersed tube railway tunnel under the Bosphorus Strait, is also under construction. The Marmara Tunnel will connect the railway lines on the European and Asian parts of Istanbul and Turkey. In 2013 the Marmara Tunnel was opened and passenger transportation is started partially in 13.5 km of total 76.5 km. The rest was expected to be completed by 2015, but it now looks like this will not happen until sometime in 2016. Lines in operation. Ankara Istanbul high-speed line equals. Prior to the introduction of the high-speed line, the population centers of Istanbul and Ankara were connected by a 576 km long railway line, of which only 110 km was double-tracked. The whole line was electrified, but low radius turns and poor track quality made high-speed rail transport impossible. Prior to the upgrading of this line in 2006, the railway's market share of Istanbul to Ankara passenger transit was 10%, with a travel time of 6.5 hours. In 1994, an initial plan to upgrade the existing line was launched, named the Ankara-Istanbul Railway Line Rehabilitation Project. Smoothing of curves to allow running at around 100 km per hour, and some track doubling were planned. The design specifications were not expected to meet future needs and no progress was made until 1999, when funding was obtained for a line between Yeşilkent and Eskişehir, to be operated at 200 km per hour. Subsequently, this developed into the high-speed line project with the expected line speed raised to 250 km per hour. Contracts for this line were signed in 2000. The development of the 1994 Railway Rehabilitation Project forms the first section of the Ankara-Istanbul high-speed line, and is expected to reduce in half the traveling time between the two cities, with hopes to capture a far greater share of the passenger transportation market between the two cities. The China Railway Construction Corporation and the China National Machinery Import and Export Corporation won the bid in 2005 to build the railway line in partnership with two Turkish companies, Cengiz Construction and Brahim Season Iktaz Construction. The Ankara-Istanbul HST line opened on July 25, 2014, although with all trains terminating at Pendik, which is 1 hour by bus from Kadıköy in the eastern suburbs of Istanbul. There are 12 trips per day and the journey takes 3.5 hours. All trains stop at Eskişehir and Izmir. High-speed trains were originally expected to start running through the Bosphorus Tunnel to the European side of Istanbul in 2015 via Marmara, but the work has been delayed and this is now likely to take at least until 2016. Design and construction. The first high-speed railroad to be built in Turkey will connect the country's largest conurbations of Ankara and Istanbul via Eskişehir, with a junction at Polatlı ± to the Ankara-Konya high-speed line. The line is 533 km long, double-tracked, electrified, and signaled, to ETCS Level 1 standard and is independent of the original Ankara to Istanbul line. The design speed is 250 km per hour. The first part of the line to be constructed was the Ankara to Eskişehir section, specifically between Sincan and Izmir paragraph Na 1/4, scheduled to open in 2006. The second phase was scheduled to open in 2008 and included more difficult terrain which covers the path between a degree na paragraph na 1/4 and car paragraph Saka paragraph Y, extending to Gebze close to Istanbul. The service in this line is expected to start on the 25th of July, 2014. A part of the route has not been completed yet by the time of opening, so conventional line will be used until the completion of the project. Operation and rolling stock. The Ankara to Eskişehir section officially opened on March 13, 2009. The line is operated by the Turkish State Railways, using the TCDD Heights 65,006 car train sets constructed by the Construcciones y Auxiliar de Ferrocarriles of Spain. On November 13, 2009, a high-speed train derailed near Eskişehir. On 25 July 2014, Istanbul-Ankara high-speed train service started. The stretch has not completed yet, thus service is partially using conventional line, which causes a little longer trip than the target. 6 trains depart every day in both directions. Final station in Istanbul is temporarily Pendik, a district in east of Istanbul. Several public transport connections are organized to access the HST trains. In addition to 11 sets of CAF used in Ankara-Eskişehir and Ankara-Konya routes, TCDD had bought 7 Siemens Velaro sets to be used in Ankara at Istanbul line which is planned to be open by the end of 2013. TCDD is also planning to open a new tender for 106 new sets to be supplied in 5 years and used in new added lines. Ankara-Konya high-speed line equals. The second high-speed line construction project in Turkey was a line from Polatlı ± on the Ankara to Istanbul line to Konya. Prior to the construction of the line, journeys between Ankara and Konya took over 10 hours, traveling from Ankara via Eskişehir and Afyon, with a total length of nearly 1,000 kilometers. The new high-speed line is 306 kilometers in length, with a journey time of 1 hour and 15 minutes. 212 kilometers of new track is constructed via Polatlı ± and Konya, with a design permitting up to 350 kilometers per hour of high-speed rail transport. ETCS Level 2 will be used. Construction was split into 2 phases. Phase 1 was the 100 km section and Phase 2 was the 112 km section between Polatlı ± and Konya. The line includes a tunnel of 20-30 m. The first test train ran in December 2010. Revenue services began on August 24, 2011. Currently, same CAF trains which are used on Ankara-Eskişehir line are running on this line with 250 km per hour maximum speed. In the future, TCDD will procure 6 more sets with up to 350 km per hour. The journey time between the 2 cities is 1.5 hours, dropping to 1 hour and 15 minutes in the future. Previously the journey time was 10 hours and 30 minutes. There will be 10 trains a day, though this will rise to 1 per hour in the future. Lines under construction and planning phase. Ankara-Sivas high-speed line, more than half of the budgeted investment has been done by 2014, and is planned to be completed by 2023. Ankara-Izmir high-speed line, the project has recently started, and is planned to be completed by 2025. Ankara-Bursa high-speed line, 1/3 of the budgeted investment has been done, and is planned to be completed by 2023. Konya-Gatesland speed line, the project has recently started, and is planned to be completed by 2023. Gatesland-Haba speed line, the project has recently started, and is planned to be completed by 2030. For high-speed trains, TCDD has a budget of more than 1 billion TL for 2014. According to official and unofficial plans, 45 of 81 cities will be connected by high-speed in long term. Ankara-Sivas high-speed lines equals. Ankara-Sivas line, prior to the construction of the high-speed line, the railway line length between Ankara and Sivas was 602 kilometers, primarily single-tracked, with a travel time of 12 hours. New travel time will be 2 hours and 51 minutes. The new high-speed line will be double-tracked and have a length of 466 kilometers eastwards from Ankara to Sivas via Kar plus or minus Ra plus or minus Kkale, Yerka paragraph Y and Yozgat, and constructed for the most part to the same 250 km per hour operational design as the previous lines. The infrastructure includes 6 viaducts, 11 tunnels, and 67 bridges. The route study was completed by the end of 2006, and put up for tender in 2 parts. Separated at the 174 km mark from Ankara at Yerka paragraph Y. Sivas a Kars line, an extension eastwards to Kars from the Ankara Sivas line is planned, passing through Erzincan and Erzurum. The line is expected to be built in 3 phases. It will be electrified and double-tracked based on the 250 km per hour standard. Sivas Erzincan line construction will start in 2018. Ankara Izmir high-speed line equals, plans for a high-speed line from Izmir to Ankara have been approved. The line will pass through Afin to meet the high-speed line from Ankara to Istanbul near Polatlı plus or minus. It will have a length of 624 kilometers. With a projected running speed of 250 km per hour. The travel will take 3 hours and 30 minutes. The line is scheduled to be finished and operational by 2025. The construction of line is planned in 3 phases. Bursa Bosa 1/4 Ya 1/4 K high-speed line equals, a 75 km line between Bursa and Bosa 1/4 Ya 1/4 K is planned to connect with the Ankara-Istanbul high-speed line. Contracts were awarded in 2011 and construction is expected to start in 2012. The line is expected to open in 2023, and would be capable of 250 km per hour operation. Konya Gatesland speed lines equals. Konya Gatesland line. Gatesland Haber line. Lines in the planning phase. Antalya, Konya, Kayseri high-speed line equals, this line is planned as a section of the Ankara-Antalya high-speed line. Ankara-Konya high-speed line will utilized for Ankara-Antalya high-speed line. Istanbul Idiran, Karpa plus or minus Q, Svilingrad speed line equals, the Ankara to Istanbul high-speed line is to be extended 230 km from Halkalı plus or minus all the way to Turkey's borders with Bulgaria and Greece at the vicinity of Karpa plus or minus Kul in the Idiran province. Travel times will be reduced from 5 hours to 1 hour. Black Sea Euro-Mediterranean Sea speed line equals, speed line from Samsun to Mediterranean Sea has been proposed. Samsun Amazu and Orum Yerka paragraph Y Car plus or minus Ray here Aksaray Konya Antalya line Samsun Orum section of Izmir Mitelmir speed line will utilized for Smason Ankara speed line. Antalya Konya Aksaray section of Antalya Kayseri high speed line will utilized for Izmir, Mitelmir speed line. Konya, Kar 1/4 Taya, Alanakkale speed line equals, Konya to Alanakkale via Afin. This line is planned as a section of the Izmir Konya high-speed line. Afin Kar 1/4 Taya section of Konya Alanakkale speed line will utilized for Istanbul Antalya speed line. Alanakkale Bala plus or minus Ksari Kar 1/4 Taya section of Konya Alanakkale speed line will utilized for Anakkale Bala plus or minus Ksari Kar 1/4 Taya Ankara speed line via Eskişehir. Ankara Kayseri speed line equals, Kayseri to Yerka paragraph Y line branching from the Ankara Sivas high-speed line. Konya, Denizli speed line equals, Konya to Denizli via Aksaray. This line is planned as a section of the Konya Muğla Fethiye line. Konya Aksaray section of Konya Alanakkale speed line will utilized for Konya Denizli speed line. Denizli Dinar section of Konya Denizli line will utilized for Denizli Ankara speed line via Afin. Future extension plans equals, other projected high-speed rail lines include, extension from Konya to Mersin via Silifke. High-speed train sets and production facilities. TREVIETR 500 test trains equals. The first high-speed trains to run on Turkish rails were two ETR 500 train sets rented from Trenitalia of Italy and were used for testing the completed part of the high-speed railway network, between Eskişehir and Ankara, on April 23, 2007. During the tests, ETR 500Y2 achieved the current rail speed record in Turkey, reaching 303 km per hour. CAFTCDD heights 65,000 equals. The first 10 TCDD heights 65,000 high-speed train sets were purchased from CAF of Spain, and can reach a maximum speed of 260 km per hour. Siemens Velaro Trail equals. The Velaro Trail is a Velaro D-derived 8-car standard gauge high-speed train for the Turkish State Railways. The 8 cars, totaling a length of 200 meters, can accommodate 516 passengers and have a 300 km per hour top speed. 25 kV 50 Hz AC power the train with a total of 8 MW. Turkish State Railways placed an order for 7 Velaro high-speed train sets in July 2013. The contract is worth $285 million, including 7 years of maintenance. The Velaros are to be deployed on the Turkish high-speed railway network. The first Siemens Velaro Trail entered service in 2014. On February 18, 2015 TCDD ordered another 10 Velaro Trail for delivery in 2017. The A400M contract include the first 3 years of maintenance and spare parts. Unlike the traditional white, red, dark blue color scheme used on the TCDD heights 65,000 high-speed train sets, a white, turquoise, grey color scheme has been selected for the livery of TCDD's Velaro Trail train sets. ATOM, alternatively Hyundai ATOM, is a joint enterprise between Hyundai Rotem of South Korea and Çevre of Turkey which was established in 2006 and started production in December 2007. The Hyundai ATOM factory in Adapazarı Turkey, was built as the Tren Fabrikası with the purpose of manufacturing the next generation of Turkey's high-speed train sets. Related infrastructure projects. The Marmara project, which connects the European and Asian suburban railway lines, will also connect the Thracian and Anatolian high-speed railway lines in Turkey via the world's deepest immersed tube railway tunnel across the Bosphorus Strait. A new high-speed rail terminus station is to be built in Ankara, which is to be funded as a public-private partnership, using the build-operate-transfer model. Additionally, new stations are to be constructed in Istanbul, Izmir, Adıyaman, Trabzon, Erzurum, Erzincan, Sivas, Kayseri, Antalya, Afyon and Polatlı. See also, Turkish State Railways, Rail Transport in Turkey, History of Rail Transport in Turkey, Ankara-Istanbul High-Speed Railway, Ankara-Konya High-Speed Railway. References and notes. Notes ABCDE Start of construction / official opening, there was no direct connection between Ankara and Konya by rail. References External links, TCDD, Turkish State Railways, Rayaba, Turkish Railway News webpage and magazine.